If you haven't watched the first video, I would encourage you to do that, and that'll show you how to get your clips into the timeline. This video, I'm going to concentrate on keeping it short and making some keyframes. Okay, if you look at this clip right here, if I just play it through, there's very little movement, almost no movement. And I picked this little clip. There it's moving a little bit, but not very much. So you can create movement even though the drone is not moving. So if you tap on the timeline on that clip, it highlights it in white. Let's go back to the beginning of it. And over here just below the viewer, on the right hand side is a diamond with a little plus sign. We're gonna hit that plus sign. Now that's gonna put a keyframe. Now anything we do in this video clip after that keyframe is gonna create another keyframe. So let's say I want to create a little bit more movement. And I'm gonna go extreme here so you can see how the keyframe works. It's not gonna be subtle, but usually when you're doing a keyframe, you want it to be a little more subtle than what I'm doing. There's not a whole lot of movement there. I want it to move more than that because when I actually hit the play button, it's pretty slow. Maybe I want it to be faster looking, but I don't want to change the speed. Changing speed on certain clips and not changing speed on the other one, that can cause some other difficulties, and it can change. You know, your final video might suffer because of that. There could be some frames get skipped and things if you don't render it right and if you just don't do it right. So anyway, when I scroll the playhead over that little diamond, it turns red. If you lose your white outline, just tap on the clip in the middle. You just want to scroll to the white diamond. That's what it looks like. That's the picture I'm starting with. And it's not moving much, but I want it to move a little bit more, maybe a little faster. So I get about right here, and now that I've already created this first keyframe over here, anything I do to change this is going to create another keyframe. So let's go a little extreme. Now if you would zoom up too much and you filmed in 1080p, you would lose your resolution on that. Now let me go over here where it actually, and I want to try to make it look like I flew closer to that maybe, that cell phone tower. And if you look over here on the left, this green, that shows how much I've actually zoomed in and how far I can move that picture over. So I got I can move this thing all over the place. And I'm going to go past here, and I could still move this over. Now again, this is going to be extreme, but I want to show you how it works. So if you remember what it looked like when I first played it, I'm just going to hit play now. Now look at it moving. It's moving. It looks like I'm moving, but I'm not really moving much. Those are zooms. Zooming in, zooming out, and all this stuff. So sometimes when you look at a professional drone video, there is some of that going on. That's all I'm saying. And I'll show you another example. I'm going to get rid of these keyframes, and you do that by highlighting the diamond by moving your playhead, and then go back to the diamond over here on the bottom right of the viewer, and now it shows a minus. Whenever you're over the diamond, it says plus, and when you're on the diamond, you can delete it. It says plus, but once that first keyframe's created, anytime you do anything, it's going to create its own. As far as zooming in and out on this, you just take your fingers like you would a photograph or anything else, and you move your fingers around. You know, it's just typical smartphone zooming in and out. Anyway, so I'm going to delete these keyframes. I want to show you a simple sticker effect kind of that I'm going to be using and that I often use for text and different things. Let's go back here. If I click on the bottom where there's nothing kind of in the black area, it's going to unhighlight things. And I just want to add a sticker, and it's going to add it right there where that playhead is pretty much. I'm going to go to sticker. I have a couple saved in my favorites, and that's going to be this star over here. And I picked this airplane for an example. Now I'm going to hit the check mark. Now here's your effect, or here's your sticker. And just like any other video clip, you can make this as long as you want by grabbing these handles and pull that out, right? So I'm going to make it just as long as this clip. It's just for an example, not that you'd want to do this, but okay. Also on this, if I grab on the bottom right of this little thing, this little sticker, that little square at the bottom right, I can move it, I can change it, the size of it, and I can swirl it around. You just have to play with that. If I tap it kind of right in the middle on the plane body itself, I can move it. So let's start here. At the beginning of this clip, I'm going to start right there. I'm going to hit the diamond. Now I've created a keyframe. I'm going to move my playhead a little bit, just as if I was playing. Now at this point, say I want my plane to be this far, which is not too far. And then at this point, I want my plane to be this far, but I want to bring it down a little bit. And then at this point, I want my plane to be this far. And then maybe I want my plane to get a little bigger at this next one. So I can grab this corner here and make it bigger. And then at the very end, I can create a keyframe and do nothing. Maybe move it a little. And then at the very end, let's say I want to make this plane go straight up and off the screen. Whoops. That happens a lot, where you tap on something wrong. Now I'm going to go, let's say like straight up, make it really big, and fly off the screen. Now, this is how keyframing works. So now when I rewind this clip, or I scroll back, because of the keyframes, it looks almost animated, like that plane is actually doing some flying. And that's keyframing. Next video, I'm going to do, I believe, some colors. I wanted to do this keyframing one first because a lot of the effects and stuff later down the road, I may be adding some keyframes, and I wanted people to be familiar with that before I do that. So you're gonna go, well, what's he doing with that little diamond and stuff? I wanted you to know. So I think it was important to get the keyframing out of the way. And I think people think keyframing, that's complicated. Well, on this little video editor, it's not. And you can keyframe almost anything. Colors, you can keyframe, like zooming, mirror effects. I mean, you could switch colors. You could go from right in the middle of a clip from one color to a completely black and white, blah, blah, blah. I'll show you that later. But that's why I wanted to show you the keyframes now, because if I show you some effects later when we're doing colors, and I show you how to keyframe something, I don't want you to be like, wait a minute, I don't even know what keyframing is. So that's it for this video, part 2.